Hey, I'm Tylynn, and today I'm going to show you 3 different ways to build drawers. So for option number 1, I used wood glue and pocket holes to build the box of the drawer, and then I routed a groove along the bottom of all 4 sides and used a 1/4-inch piece of plywood to do an inset panel for the base of the drawer. For option number 2, I used wood glue and then just countersunk screws straight through the sides to build the box. And along the bottom, I used a 3/4-inch piece of plywood and pocket holes to attach it to the frame. Now, if you don't own a pocket hole jig, you could just countersink screws right through the sides to attach the base as well, same as you did to build like the box of it. Now, for option number 3, I built the box with wood glue and finish nails, and then I actually did the same thing for the base. I cut a 1/4-inch piece of plywood to fit and then just attached it with wood glue and finish nails. Now, I have written tutorials for each of these different versions over on my site, but they happen to be some of the most controversial tutorials that I have ever written. So just a heads up, a little disclaimer here, I am not going for fine woodworking on these. I'm just showing you a few different ways that you can build drawers that's a little bit quicker, a little bit more approachable for any skill level, and depending on what tools you may or may not have access to. And if you're wondering where all these drawers are going to end up, I am getting started on a master bedroom renovation here pretty soon, and so these are going in the new furniture set that I'm building as part of the whole project. So with that, let's get into the details on how to build each one of these. I used 1x6s to build these drawer boxes. Now, you could also use plywood, but 1x boards are really easy to use, and these 1x6s were the exact size I needed for this particular project. For the first drawer, use a 1/4-inch straight bit on the router to cut grooves along the bottom of all 4 boards that make up the drawer box. Set the router to cut a 1/4-inch in from the bottom of each board and an 1/8 inch deep on the first pass. If you cut too deep at once, the board can bind up or the bit will just end up burning the wood. So after the first pass, then you adjust the bit up to a 1/4-inch for the second pass to get the full 1/4-inch deep groove. Cut the groove all the way through the boards for the front and back of the drawer, and then do a stopped groove or a stopped dado for the sides. I've been asked why I don't use a table saw to cut the grooves, and the reason is that stopped dado cut. It's perfectly safe to do on a router, but not so much on the table saw. After you cut all the grooves, drill pocket holes on the outside ends of the front and back drawer box boards. I used a 1/4-inch piece of plywood for the bottom of this drawer. Now, to get the proper measurement for the panel, take the inside dimensions of the drawer box and add 3/8 of an inch to both the width and the depth. That'll give you a bottom panel that sits just shy of a 1/4-inch into the grooves on all 4 sides. Now, since you cut the grooves a 1/4-inch deep along each side, that leaves an extra 1/16 of an inch and gives the bottom a little room to move when the wood expands or contracts. Here you can see why I cut the stopped dado along the sides. When you assemble the box, the front and back boards hide all the grooves. If you cut grooves all the way through, you'd be able to see them from the front and the back. Now, that's not a huge deal because you'll put a drawer face over the front and you won't ever really see the back, but this just looks a little cleaner. Use wood glue and pocket hole screws to put the drawer together. I put the pocket holes on the front and the back to best hide them. You won't see the ones along the back since they'll face the back of your project, and the front ones will get covered with the drawer face. I built the second drawer with all 3/4-inch material. Once you cut all the boards for the drawer box, cut a 3/4-inch piece of plywood to fit the inside dimensions of the drawer. Since you're working with all 3/4-inch material, you can build the whole drawer with pocket hole joinery, or if you don't own a pocket hole jig, you can use all countersunk screws. So to show both methods, I used pocket holes along the bottom and then countersunk screws for the box of this drawer. Once you've cut all the boards to size, apply wood glue along each edge of the plywood as well as to the boards for the drawer box and clamp everything together. If you're using countersunk screws, pre-drill holes for each screw and use a countersink bit to drill out a spot for the screw head. Then drive the screws into place. Again, I just use countersunk screws for the box of this drawer, but if you only own a drill, you can use countersunk screws for the whole thing. Just countersink screws into that bottom plywood panel to attach it. Or on the flip side, you can use pocket holes for all of it. I built the third drawer with just wood glue and brad nails. Cut the boards to length for the drawer box, then apply wood glue to the ends of the front and back boards and clamp them all together. Drive 2-inch brad nails through the sides to assemble the box. As always, make sure to keep your hands clear of the path of the nails. It doesn't happen very often, but I did have a rogue nail on one of the sides that hit a knot and shot out the side, and I was sure glad that my hand wasn't in the way. For the bottom, cut a 1/4-inch piece of plywood to fit the outside dimensions of the drawer. Apply wood glue along the bottom edge of the drawer box, set the plywood panel in place, double check that everything is square, and attach the bottom with 1-inch brad nails. So that gives you quite a few options to build drawers. You can mix and match any of these depending on the project, your skills, and what tools you have available. My favorite way is to use pocket holes for the drawer box and either staple the bottom on or do that inset panel. I'm working on another video to show how to attach the drawer fronts, but it's usually very project specific, so I just focused on the drawer boxes for this one.